So hey guys, I am back with another YouTube video, and in today's video I'll be talking about how as the COVID-19 pandemic affected my life both negatively and positively. So at the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak in Jamaica, I was extremely terrified. I mean, listening to all the news of the countries that has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the death rate and all of that really made me scared because just thinking about the characteristics of Jamaican people that likes to socialize, gather together, and basically have a good time. I was extremely terrified of that, and knowing personally that I am the kind of person that like to go on adventure, and I had a lot of things that I wanted to do at the beginning of 2020, and seeing that all those things will be placed on hold, I was once again placed on a mental shock. I had a lot of emotional resistance placed up. I became so angry at everyone for not really um take into consideration the spread of the COVID-19, the effects of COVID-19, and all of that. So I was extremely angry. I was withdrawn. I was mentally troubled because just the fact of thinking about what would happen if I contacted the COVID-19 virus. And so a lot of things I had going through my mind, and that really affected me. Not being able to go out and chill with my friends, not being able to do new things and explore new aspects of my surrounding was once again another issue that I had at the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak in Jamaica. And so with all that was going on, I decided that I cannot sit down and be depressed. I cannot sit down and be angry. I cannot sit down and be mad at everyone, because I from an earlier time understand that prayer works and prayer changes a lot of things. And so I began to really pray about the COVID-19 pandemic. I began to pray about my state of mind. I began to pray about my behavior, because I knew that it was not something that was acceptable, because I began to be rebellious. I began to be hateful. I began to be judgmental, because how rapidly the virus was being spread in Jamaica. And so I began to repent and all of that. And so in doing that, I became a bit more free. I became relieved, and it really motivated me to continue. And in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of being depressed, in the midst of being angry, in the midst of being mentally isolated and emotionally isolated because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I formed a relationship with God on a level that I would not be able to imagine at this point without the pandemic. I've learned how to communicate with God, that a lot of person would think that I'm crazy, because sometimes we will definitely call our friends and we'll say, hey yo, we have something to talk about, and we will sit down for hours and hours, and we will discuss social problems. But in the pandemic, our internet provider can be a bit of a dimmer. And so with all that, I formed a relationship. I would just put down a chair and say, God, we're talking about this today. We're talking about my mental health. We're talking about my behavioral patterns. We're talking about stuff. And I will sit down and I will talk to God, and it's just as if he's there responding to me. And so that really was a turning point for me in the midst of the pandemic. And at that point, I began to value friends. I began to value family time. I began to play more games. I began to learn how to do new things. And the pandemic really birthed this YouTube channel. I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel. And so it is in the midst of the pandemic where I began to pray. Then the Lord really started to give me ideas and really give me the courage to really do this YouTube channel. So thumbs up to the COVID-19 pandemic for really helping to birth this YouTube channel. I also in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I've learned to do a lot of new skills. I've learned to do hair. I've learned how to love a person on another level. I've learned how to appreciate the difference in person's personality. I've learned how to tolerate a lot of things. And yeah, the COVID-19 pandemic has done a lot. What has it done for you? Just comment, what has the COVID-19 pandemic done for you?